Welcome to the Midnight Dreary, your rest stop on the highway of the unexplained. Pull up a bar stool and grab a drink as we present tonight's episode. And here's your host, Justin Wood.
Welcome back to the Midnight Dreary, guys. I am your host, Justin Wood. It is 2024. I have missed you guys. I think our last episode was almost a year ago, and it's been a long year, but now we are in spooky season. It is officially October 6th, as the time of this recording. It has been a hot year, very hot summer, very miserable where I'm at, but I imagine across the U.S., it's slowly starting to get where it needs to be. Doesn't quite feel like fall, but I know in my region here in the southeast, we're supposed to get that fall push of cold weather coming in the next couple of days, and I'm looking forward to that. I know you guys are as well, and welcome back to the Midnight Dreary. I have got a lot planned, a lot coming up, a lot of fun shows. I'm going to go ahead and tell you just a few that are on my radar for the next couple of episodes. One that I'm really excited about. We did one that was really popular. It was top 3 scariest NES games. That one did really well. I had a lot of opinions on it. Some people agreed. Most of you agreed. A lot of you disagreed. But I had a request to do the top 5 scariest SNES games, Super Nintendo games. So we're going to do that one. Going to try to get it recorded this week. I have my list finalized, but that being said, we get some outpour of opinions, and you beat me to the episode, I might just put a couple of extra honorable mentions on there. So if you are old enough, like me, to remember the Super Nintendo, and you have any special, scary, favorite Super Nintendo games that you think warrant mention on the top 5 scariest Super Nintendo games list, email those to me, themidnightdreary@yahoo.com. Also in that bag of episodes that I've got on standby, wanted to do some Are You Afraid of the Dark reviews. One of, if not my favorite scary show growing up. Tales from the Crypt's up there too, which I wanted to do that one as well. Man, but it's harder to find Tales from the Crypt streaming online, or even DVDs of it. I've been working on that one, but Are You Afraid of the Dark for sure. So if you have opinions on either of those, shoot me the email as well. I already know my number 1 on Are You Afraid of the Dark, and I think it's either the first or second episode from season 1, which was by far the best season. God, do you not remember, if you're a 90s kid like me, growing up, and Halloween was so cool back then because you had Snick, and you had Stickly, and you got to watch Are You Afraid of the Dark, and that intro was awesome. Man, the nostalgia factor just so cool from the 90s. So much that we liked so many Halloween-themed television programs. You know, you had TGIF, and almost everybody had the Halloween theme going on. Are You Afraid of the Dark, of course, I've mentioned that already 10,000 times. Even those Home Improvement episodes. Great show. Which, I was actually going to save this from my back pocket later, but I want to talk about that. Home Improvement is on the Roku channel, which has been a cool little hidden gem I found lately. So if you have a Roku TV or a Roku device, you should have the Roku channel. And they have a lot of shows for free on there. And one of my favorite shows, getting back into the scary theme, who doesn't love it? Who doesn't recognize that notable opening? Unsolved Mysteries. Man, Robert Stack, so spooky, stepping out of the fog or in front of like an abandoned building or a police station at midnight, welcoming you to Unsolved Mysteries. Man, that show as a kid scared the hell out of me. I've watched a lot of reruns. The first couple of seasons are fantastic. You can see Robert Stack age a bit, and it's sad. And then they went, I think, to, was it Dennis Farina? Who wasn't as good, but it just, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't the same after that. But if you're a Roku channel kind of guy, or if you're unfamiliar with it, check it out, man. A lot of free shows on there. Unsolved Mysteries, I discovered that a buddy told me about it and asked if I had checked it out, and I had not. And it looks like all the seasons are on there. So, little tip, and that's what this episode is about. We're just going to kind of dip our toe into the Halloween season, although we're only about 3 weeks away. We're going to talk a little bit of movies coming out. We're going to talk costumes that are going to be popular this year in 2024. We're going to talk more television shows as well. Like I said, movies. And I want to get into candy as well. What are the top 10 most popular candy in America? And then the top 10 worst candies on Halloween. So that is coming up in this episode. Just kind of a grab bag of Halloween facts, things to do, what's relevant for 2024. But before we get into that, I had something that I thought was really cool. I've read this from Live Science. This is the surprising origins of superstitions. And you've always heard things like, it's bad luck to walk under a leaning ladder or don't open an umbrella inside. But why is that? So let's read some of these because I thought this was pretty cool. 9 Common Superstitions. This is by Natalie Wolchover. Published back in 2011, but still holds up today. LiveScience.com. It's bad luck to open an umbrella indoors. So why is that? Well, apparently because the original umbrellas were really unfurled when you opened or closed them, so they had a chance to pop out and be pretty dangerous apparently. So in a small room, if you opened up an umbrella, it could seriously injure an adult or child. Or shadow is on my mind, but shatter a fragile object. So even a minor accident could happen when you open one of those original umbrellas. I need to look up what an original umbrella looks like, because I can't imagine they're much better today, but also they're probably a lot more sturdy than they were 100 years ago. Now, why is it bad luck to walk under a leaning ladder? So this to me always just kind of went without saying. It seemed if you're walking under a ladder that somebody's working on, something like a paint can could fall on your head, or you could knock the ladder over and knock that person down. But apparently, this superstition originates 5,000 years ago in ancient Egypt. A ladder leaning against a wall forms a triangle, and Egyptians regarded this shape as sacred. Well, look at the pyramids. Triangles represented the trinity of the gods, and to pass through the triangle was to desecrate them. So there is a lot more to it than I thought. I thought really just about paint buckets. But apparently in England in the 1600s, criminals were forced to walk under a ladder on their way to the gallows. All right, this is depth of these superstitions. I seriously took that one way too lightly. So let's get into a broken mirror gives you 7 years of bad luck. All right, before I even read this, I haven't read this. I pulled the article up. I thought it'd be a cool way to start this show. But I'm going to just guess. I thought there was something to do with something on the other side. Maybe Bloody Mary. You remember that game as a kid, going into the bathroom, closing the door, turning the lights out. Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. However, in ancient Greece, it was common for people to consult mirror seers who told their fortunes by analyzing their reflections. The historian Milton Goldsmith explained in his book, Signs, Omens, and Superstitions, that divination was performed by means of water and a looking glass. This was called, I'm going to botch this word, catoptromancy. Okay, the mirror was dipped into the water and a sick person was asked to look into the glass. If his image appeared distorted, he was likely to die. If clear, he would live. Man, I love those old methods of determining life, death, or illness, or, God, they were brutal back then, or just silly like that. In the 1st century AD, the Romans added a caveat to their superstition. So they added a caveat in the 1st century AD. This is an old superstition, most of these are. At that time, it was believed that people's health changed in 7-year cycles. A distorted image resulting from a broken mirror therefore meant 7 years of ill health and misfortune, rather than outright death. So that 7 year of bad luck has been around for almost 2,000 years. That's wild. What about when you spill salt, toss some over your left shoulder to avoid bad luck? Where does that come from? Well, the ancient Sumerians, apparently. Around 3500 BC, the ancient Sumerians first took to nullifying the bad luck of spilled salt by throwing a pinch of it over the left shoulders. This spread to the Egyptians, the Assyrians, and later the Greeks. Superstition ultimately reflects how much people prized and still prize salt as a seasoning for food. The etymology of the word salary shows how highly we value it. I did not know that. According to Panati, the Roman writer Petronius, in, gosh man, they are giving me hard words to read on the fly, in the Satiricon, the Roman writer Petronius in Rome, let's just say that, originated not worth his salt. For the Roman soldiers who were given special allowances for salt rations called salarium, salt money, the origin of our word salary. Okay, that is really cool. I had no idea salary was represented by salt. I knew salt was currency at some time in history, but did not know, I never knew all of this. I never knew how much it influenced current sayings. And all this is so old. So what about knocking on wood? Knock on wood to prevent disappointment, though historians say this may be one of the most prevalent superstitious customs of the United States. It's very much in doubt. Wow, okay. Some attribute it to the ancient religious rite of touching a crucifix when taking an oath. Alternatively, among the ignorant peasants of Europe, it may have its beginning in the habit of knocking loudly to keep out evil spirits. So not much to that one. I've always heard that, knock on wood. Didn't really give us a good origin. This one, always God bless a sneeze, or bless a sneeze, or say Gesundheit, or as Milhouse from The Simpsons, what did he say? A sneeze is your soul trying to escape, and then when you say God bless you, it's like cramming your soul back in. That was one of the greatest episodes of The Simpsons. Bart sells his soul. That's also, man, put that on your Halloween list. Bart sells his soul, or any of the early Treehouses of Horrors, season 10 or prior to that, preferably. Back to God blessing a sneeze. In most English-speaking countries, it's polite to respond to another person's sneeze by saying God bless you. Though incantations of good luck have accompanied sneezes across many cultures for thousands of years, all largely tied to the belief that sneezes expelled evil spirits. Milhouse was right. Our particular custom began in the 6th century AD by explicit order of Pope Gregory the Great. A terrible pestilence was spreading through Italy at the time. The first symptom was severe, chronic sneezing, and this was often quickly followed by death. Pope Gregory urged the healthy to pray for the sick and ordered the light-hearted responses to sneezes, such as, may you enjoy good health, be replaced by the more urgent, God bless you. If a person sneezed when alone, the Pope recommended that they say a prayer for themselves in the form of God help me. That's actually really cool because it's based off sickness and the early methods of trying to, treat the symptoms, by invoking a polite prayer to try to hopefully keep it inside of you. Milhouse, you were right on that. I'll never forget that. That's a great quote. What about a horseshoe? Hang a horseshoe on your door, open end up, for good luck. I remember as a kid, my grandfather had horses. We'd always go out and find horseshoes on his land, or he would have some and give them to me and my brother. And we were really upset if you held it upside down. I remember my brother and I were really young kids, and we'd argue that the luck is pouring out, and you'd have to hold it right side up. So curious where this comes from. Let's take a look. The horseshoe is considered to be a good luck charm in a wide range of cultures. Belief in its magical powers traces back to the Greeks, who thought the element iron had the ability to ward off evil. Not only were horseshoes wrought of iron, they also took the shape of the crescent moon in 4th century Greece, for the Greeks, a symbol of fertility and good fortune. The belief in the powers of horseshoes passed from the Greeks to the Romans, and from them to the Christians. In the British Isles, in the Middle Ages, when fear of witchcraft was rampant, people attached horseshoes open end up to the sides of their homes and doors. People thought witches feared horses and would shy away from any reminders of them. I thought I've seen pictures of witches riding horses. Am I wrong on that? I know they ride brooms, okay? But I'm thinking older witches back in the day. I thought some of them had horses. Maybe I'm just mixing up all my Halloween, my horror, everybody. Witches riding horses, Freddy's riding a broom out there. Just cross them all up together. But that's pretty cool about the horseshoes. I like that. And like I said, I remember that as a kid. I always loved having them. I was always surprised at how heavy they were. But my brother and I, man, we would if you held it upside down, even being silly for a second, we genuinely thought there was luck pouring out. And last one on this list, speaking of luck, a black cat crossing your path is bad luck. Many cultures agree that black cats are powerful omens, but do they signify good or evil? The ancient Egyptians revered all cats, black and otherwise, and it was their belief that a black cat crossing your path brought good luck. So opposite of what we think now. They had a positive reputation, and recorded much later, in the 17th century in England, King Charles I kept and treasured a black cat as a pet. Upon its death, he is said to have lamented that his luck was gone. The supposed truth of the superstition was reinforced when he was arrested the very next day and charged with high treason. So Charles I of England, his cat dies, and the next day he's arrested and charged with high treason. I think that's probably a good reason to rever the cat as lucky, because once it died, you're arrested and maybe off with your head. During the Middle Ages, people in many other parts of Europe held quite the opposite belief. They thought black cats were the familiars or companions of witches. Even witches that ride horses, right? Or even witches themselves in disguise, and that a black cat crossing your path was an indication of bad luck, a sign that the devil was watching you. This seems to have been a dominant belief held by the Pilgrims when they came to America, perhaps explaining the strong association between black cats and witchcraft that exists in this country to this day. I've never really had an issue with that. I guess because I've grown up with so many cats in my life, many of them black cats. They're always so sweet and good, so I would be more on the side of good luck. Never worried about the black cats crossing my ladder. Crossing my ladder. I was just about... See, I'm overthinking myself, and I'm overthinking, and I'm mixing up all these superstitions. I've never thought of black cats as bad luck. They always seem sweet. But walking under a ladder is where I was going with that. I could see why that could be bad luck. Or even the umbrella. But a black cat, come on. Except if you're King Charles I, right? When his dies, he's arrested. I said that was the last one. I completely lied to you. The number 13 is unlucky. We've heard this, Friday the 13th. And I think I've mentioned it before in a prior episode. Let's try to say it. What is the fear of the number 13? It is triskaidekaphobia. Triskaidekaphobia. All right. It has its origins in Norse mythology. In a well-known tale, 12 gods were invited to dine at Valhalla, a magnificent banquet hall in Asgard, the city of the gods. Loki, the god of strife and evil, crashed the party, raising the number of attendees to 13. The other gods tried to kick Loki out, and in the struggle that ensued, Balder, the favorite among them, was killed. That sounds like a lot of religious beliefs. Scandinavian avoidance of 13-member dinner parties and dislike of the number 13 itself spread, and it went south to the rest of Europe. It was reinforced in the Christian era by the story of the Last Supper, in which Judas, the disciple who betrayed Jesus, was the 13th guest at the table. And we know many people still shy away from that number. I've always heard there's no true statistical evidence that 13 is unlucky, and I'm seeing the same in this article, that there really isn't evidence that the number is unlucky. You will hear a lot, though, that people will not travel on Friday the 13th, take a flight, hop on a train, and they try to limit their chores or their meetings, plans, whatever they have going on for the day. I've always heard that growing up, so I think a lot of people probably have a fear of the number 13, a little triskaidekaphobia. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Or they won't book a surgery on that day. You know what? If I'm looking at the calendar and I'm having a surgery scheduled or a flight that's Friday the 13th, I probably would try to book it a day earlier or the following week if possible. So that was a cool article. Origins of Superstitions, and that is Live Science. Great article. Might have to pick some more of those. So if you get a chance, The Surprising Origins of 9 Common Superstitions, Natalie Wolchover, Live Science. All right, the superstitions are out of the way. Let's bring in and talk about what Halloween is all about, free candy, and what is the most popular and least popular Halloween candy in 2024. Consumer spending on candy is scheduled to reach $3.5 billion. That is insane amounts of money. And guess what? That's even a slight decrease from 2023. Getting these stats from Julia Elbaba, This is from the Chicago News, but I think this list, I've seen it several other places. What do you think? Before we get into the top 10, best candy on Halloween, what do you think is the most popular? You'll probably think of it pretty quickly, although apparently the 1 and 2 have battled for ages. But let's start from 10 and go down. That might be fun. Number 10, Butterfinger. Don't lay a finger on my Butterfinger. Number 9, Hershey's Minis bars. Those seemed to be very abundant when I was a kid. Number 8, Hershey Kisses. Number 7, candy corn. Terrible candy. Debate me on that, please, because candy corn is just awful. It's not candy, it's wax. 6, Hot Tamales. That seems like such an old school candy. Number 5, Starburst. Delicious. I'm a fan. Number 4, Skittles. Even better. Huge fan. Number 3, Sour Patch Kids. Even better. Wonderful fan of those. Those are just delicious, great movie candies as well. And for the top 2, they've swapped before. Now, what I'm reading says it's swapped for the first time in history, but I've also read that they kind of battle neck and neck. Number 2, Reese's Cups. That leaves number 1, our gold medal candy for Halloween, is M&M's. I can see that. Everybody likes M&M's. Melt in your mouth, not in your hands. And there's also a list of most popular Halloween candy by state. You can look that up. Where I'm at, it's Skittles, but apparently I don't see Skittles in many other states. I see M&M's, Reese's Cups, as we've talked about. Sour Patch Kids, a great job, Delaware. That is probably one of my favorites. Lemonheads, Louisiana. How did that wasn't even on the top 10. All right. So check that out. Most popular candy by state. You can look at your state, see what sells the most, second place, and third place, and how many pounds of it. But let's go to least popular candies. And here's a hint. Candy corn made both lists, but just how bad is candy corn? Starting backwards with number 10, Good and Plenty. I've heard of them. I cannot truly tell you what it is. I don't really eat them. 9, Bit-O Honey. Remember those? Terrible. 8, kind of shocking because as a kid, loved them and nothing I would just go out and buy, but for Halloween, Smarties. Thought they were so much fun, man. Hate that they're on the naughty list of Halloween candy. Number 7, least liked Halloween candies, licorice. I can see that. I really don't hate licorice, but it's not something, again, that I would just have a craving for. Let me go get a thing of licorice. Number 6, wax bottles. Man, I remember having those as a kid. I'm surprised if they're even still out there. They were disgusting. I didn't like those. 5, Mary Janes. Have no clue what a Mary Jane is. 4, Necco wafers. What is a Necco wafer? That's why they're least popular, because these are just garbage candy. Number 3, candy corn. Man, that should be number 1. You know what? I'm looking at number 1. It's close, but... Number 2, peanut butter kisses. Okay, are we talking a Hershey's Kiss flavored with peanut butter? Because that doesn't sound like it would be bad, and it certainly doesn't sound like it would be number 2 least favorite bad. Let me know if I'm wrong on that, but it says number 2, peanut butter kisses. Number 1, worst Halloween candy that America is not loving in 2024, circus peanuts. Those things are disgusting. Those things seem like packing peanuts, what you pack items with when you're shipping them through UPS or the Postal Service. I've had them before. They are disgusting. I don't know if they're worse than candy corn. If you had to choose between candy corn and circus peanuts, which one would you pick? I mean, candy corn just tastes like junk, but circus peanuts are... really bad. I wouldn't want to choose. So I ask all my fans of the Midnight Dreary, because I like to rope you guys and your feedback into my shows. I've already asked you earlier, give me your scary Super Nintendo games, but we have a good debate here. I need all of you to tell me what's your favorite Halloween candy. Tell me your top 1, top 3, top 5. I don't care. Email it to the midnightdreary@yahoo.com. But help us settle this debate too. What is the worst Halloween candy? Because I think if I had to choose, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, it is either circus peanuts or candy corn. The list was pretty comprehensive on terrible ones. Peanut butter kisses, I don't know. Circus peanuts are just awful. Candy corn is really bad. I haven't tried either in years, and I'm not going to. Not going to do any tests to see which one's worse because they're both garbage. But I want your feedback. If you've had a circus peanut or candy corn, or if you like them, you know what? If you like them, I will schedule a time to do an interview with you because I want to get into your psyche of why you're crazy enough to consume circus peanuts or candy corn. They're both very gross. Oh, man, let's look at that other list again just to get the mental taste out of my mouth. M&M's, Reese's Cups, Sour Patch Kids, Skittles, Starburst, Hot Tamales. Ugh, candy corn made that list too. Ignore number 7. Hershey's Kisses, Hershey Mini Bars, and Butterfingers, most popular candies for Halloween in 2024. Out of that 3.5 billion consumers are spending, hopefully you're spending it on the good list. I would be curious to how many millions go into circus peanuts and candy corn. And I'm so disappointed candy corn made most lists. So, man, that is it. So we're rolling right into the candy. We've talked a little bit about Superstitions. It feels good to be back talking to you guys. I really like this. We talked a little earlier, too, about the Roku channel and talked about Unsolved Mysteries. There's so many great, I hate saying it, but unsolved mysteries on Unsolved Mysteries. Imagine that. So check that out. Lots of good shows on there. But I want to get in to what else is coming out this year, what I've been watching. I want to know what you guys are watching. Again, the Midnight Jury at yahoo.com. Like I said, this is just a random grab bag. This is fun. We're nothing specific. Getting our feet wet into spooky season. We've got some great episodes coming up. This one's going to be great because you guys are going to give me feedback for future episodes and what you've been watching as well, what you recommend, what you don't recommend. One thing that I've watched a lot of lately, not as horror, spooky, but definitely on the true crime side, I watched the Menendez brothers documentary. I remember growing up, that was such a big thing. I was a young kid at the time. It's on Netflix. I think it was 7 episodes. It was okay. I thought it was well done. Also loved the fact that one of my favorite actors, Javier Bardem, however you pronounce the last name, he played Anton Chigurh in No Country for Old Men, was Lyle Menendez, the father of the Menendez brothers. And he was fantastic. What a great actor. So, and really the acting was good. It just, I think it could have been a few episodes shorter. It was okay. Kind of drug out a little bit. Acting was good. If you're a fan of true crime, I think it's worth a watch. If you're not, but yeah, I don't think you're going to be swayed to like it. There's nothing that I can say about that. So, Menendez Brothers, that's Netflix. More true crime if you're down. If you like that, if that's up your alley, check it out. If not, I'm not going to recommend it. I just can't in good conscience recommend it. So what else is coming out? You've got Salem's Lot. Apparently this is a film that's on Max channel. I guess that would be the old Cinemax. If you've ever watched Salem's Lot, especially, there was one that came out, I believe it was the 70s, or if you've read the book, fantastic. It's Stephen King. One of his best, in my opinion. I read it a long time ago, back when, I think I was a teenager, and I thought it was really good. I'm going to give you a quick sidebar, too, on Stephen King. His top 3 books. You can guess them. Probably won't guess the order, but I'll go ahead and tell you. And they're all, I think, really good movies, too. The Shining is number 1. Fantastic movie. I know you guys like that. Number 2, we've talked about this ad nauseum. And if you go back and you listen to my favorite horror villains, It, Pennywise the Dancing Clown, Bob Gray, It is number 2. It is a huge, thorough novel. If you read it, man, it isn't. You have to attack that. It is a lot to take in, but it is wonderful. Really good Stephen King movies. I love both of those. The original with Tim Curry, and I love Bill Skarsgård. I think both of those are done well. Number 3, as a kid, this scared the hell out of me too. Sticking with the Stephen King, Pet Sematary. Never read the book, but I watched the movie as a kid. Probably wasn't the best thing for a kid to see because there are still some scenes in there with little Gage that haunt me, man. Whew, that was a tough movie to watch, but very, very scary. Love all 3 of those by Stephen King. And Salem's Lot, October 4th, which must have already been released, I should say, has come out. So what other movies dropping to the theaters are coming out? I had a buddy of mine talking about these two because we've got a November release and a Christmas release, which it's good to see movies actually going back to the theaters. I think it was going down for a while in the teens. You had so much streaming platforms. You still do, and that's just the way our lives are going. Everything's digital. How much? I mean, think about it. You can sit at home, buy food for cheap, or eat the food you already have, watch a movie, buy it, Amazon Prime, $7, $12, or if you already have the streaming services and it's coming out. It's cheap. If you hated it, there's really little investment besides the time you spent watching it. Going to the movie theaters, man, I feel like it was on a decline already. If you're going on a date especially, and you're taking somebody, you're going to spend, $50+ minimum. I don't even know what a ticket could be this day and age. I don't want to go down the whole rabbit hole of what you're going to spend, but I can understand why people got away from it for a while. COVID hit, and that just seemed like the knockout punch. But the theater has that charm, going out with your friends, going and getting that popcorn, watching it on the big screen, man. Letting just lose track of time, going out to the parking lot late and being like, man, that was a damn good movie, good scary movie. So hopefully we'll see a resurgence. Hopefully the prices will drop. This is a tough economy. Let's talk about these two movies. Okay, first one, I'm going to admit, it's not a horror movie, not a scary movie, but the original was wonderful. It's got to be in my top 5 favorite movies of all time list. Gladiator 2 comes out November 22nd. Now, I have to mention it because, one, it's my podcast and I love Gladiator. So Gladiator 2 waiting, what has it been, 24 years for it to come out? A quarter century almost. It's got to be good. The first one had some gory elements to it. So, it's not horror, it's not scary, but it's good. Very good, the first one. So, Gladiator 2, looking forward to. That is November 22nd. Alright, so, Gladiator 2, maybe that is not exactly horror. What about Nosferatu? 2024 film coming out. It is dropping on Christmas Day 2024. So, after you have your eggnog, you open presents, you go visit the family, go to a movie theater, check out Nosferatu. Robert Eggers, we have spoken about him before. He has created some wonderful movies. Absolutely love The Witch that he made. One of my favorites. We've talked about that before. If you haven't seen it, go see it. He did The Lighthouse too. It wasn't really... wasn't my favorite. I'll just go ahead and admit it. But The Witch was. I do love how his filming is, what his style is, the old black and white. He wanted to bring Nosferatu into the 21st century, and apparently has been working on this project for quite some time. So, and guess what? This has got to make this movie good. Bill Skarsgård, just spoke about him a moment ago, played Pennywise the Dancing Clown, and he's going to be Count Orlok. So that's also commonly, but erroneously, known as Nosferatu. So I think that's going to be really good. You got Bill Skarsgård in it. It's a Robert Eggers movie. Nosferatu's coming out. That is on Christmas Day 2024. So there's some things on TV for you to watch. Some movies. Got some TV shows if you want to brush up on your unsolved mysteries. And you have some theatrical releases coming out. So guys, check all of those out. They are coming up for you in 2024. All right, are we in the mood yet for Halloween? We've talked about candy. We've talked about superstitions. We've given you some scary shows. If you don't want to watch any of this new stuff, don't do it. Go back, watch all the fun things you like. A Peanuts Halloween, The Nightmare Before Christmas. Go watch Hocus Pocus. Have fun with it. It's your Halloween season. Enjoy it any way you can. But what are people going to ask you? What are you going to be this year? What's the most popular costume this year? Let me tell you what the most popular costume is this year. So I've got a confession to make. I actually looked up a couple of different lists. This is a very standard list that I liked. Number 1, Witch. Number 2, Spider-Man. Number 3, Dinosaur. Okay. I love that list. I think this is great. That's from Newsweek. Other popular costumes included fairies, pirates, and rabbits. Nothing specific in here. I would guess, based on some of the other sites that I've seen, you're going to have a lot influenced by pop culture and social media. Apparently, the Hawk Tua girl is a popular costume. You would never guess, but Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, also popular, especially as a couples-inspired costume. And then, man, it just made me feel old, but I just have no idea who a lot of these costumes are. Moo Ding. Who is Moo Ding? Sabrina Carpenter, I've heard the name, not familiar. And then Chapel Roan. I'm so sorry. I just do not know who these folks are. My daughters do, I'm sure. Obviously Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, but these other ones, I have probably aged myself out. But the classics are still there. If you don't want to dress up like a social media viral superstar, a witch is perfectly fine. Spider-Man, perfectly fine. A dinosaur, perfectly fine. Rabbit, a little weird. I didn't think that would be a costume that people dress up as, but hey, you know what? Enjoy it. It's your Halloween, perfectly fine. I've tried to think about what I'm going to be this year. Haven't had much to go on, but I think I'm going to go wizard route. My daughter actually wants to be a witch. That was number one here. And I feel like I was going to be a wizard, but then, somebody told me, well, really, a male witch is a warlock. I don't know. That needs to be talked about. Let me know. Is a male witch a wizard, a warlock? Are they both one and the same? We need your feedback. The studies were inconclusive on what the most popular costume is this year. I don't believe it's a witch. I believe Newsweek is just putting something out there because I can't believe this list. I do know Wednesday Addams will be very popular from what show is that Wednesday, right? Isn't it Jenna Ortega on there? Addams Family has kind of been popular since it came out. That had to have been the 60s, right? When I was a kid in the 80s and 90s, it was on reruns. And then it had a resurgence in the 90s. The Addams Family movies, Addams Family Values. It had a brief cartoon run for Saturday morning cartoons. Thing, the little hand that goes around. So I could see Addams Family, especially Wednesday, with this resurgence being very popular in 2024 as well. What are you going to dress up as, everybody? I need to know. We've got to get all this going. I have to know what you're going to dress up as. The Midnight Dreary at yahoo.com. Tell me what your costume is going to be, what parties you're going to go to. More importantly, too, tell me, is the male witch a wizard? Is it a warlock? And why would anybody dress as a rabbit? Pirates, fairies, witch, Spider-Man, dinosaur, Newsweek, I can get behind. A rabbit, save it for Easter. Let me know what your costume is going to be. It's going to be a great Halloween season. Man, this has been a fun episode. Like I said, completely off the cuff, trying to get everybody excited, back for Halloween season. And you know what? I've had some of you fans tell me that you really like the show. You want me to do more. A lot of you like the stories that I tell, and I appreciate it more than you know. Let me know if you want me to do more stories. If you want me to just ramble about Halloween 2024, 2025, and however long we will go. Typically, I've been seasonal. It just makes more sense, but I would love to invest more time into what you guys want to hear. If you want to follow more, follow me on the socials. We've got a TikTok now at the Midnight Dreary 1. That is the number 1. Also on YouTube, it is also the Midnight Dreary 1. Had some good YouTube videos up last year. We'll get some more uploaded soon. I've really enjoyed making the videos and the TikToks. It's something new to me, so check those two out. And also on Instagram, the Midnight Dreary. No one, just the Midnight Dreary. At Instagram. I almost wanted to say at yahoo.com. That's the email. So check out the socials. The Midnight Dreary 1. That's TikTok. That's YouTube. Just the Midnight Dreary on Instagram. And let me know what you think. Would love to continue to do more for you guys, especially my fellow horror, spooky, ghost story loving folks. Man, we have fun, especially this time of year. It's our time to shine. I always try to read something to end the show. Get a little scary tale in here. We talked about salt earlier and how influential it was. That was in the Superstitions origins. And A book that I always read, I always reference on this show, Mysteries of the Unexplained, was Looking. This is a cool little story, Return to the Grave. It's a zombie story based in Haiti. If ever a zombie learns of what has happened to him, he is said to become totally uncontrollable, and salt is reported to be a substance that can trigger such awareness. In his book The Magic Island, published in 1929, William Seabrook reported one such horrifying incident which took place a few years earlier. A Hungan named Joseph had a number of zombies who he used as cane cutters at Hasco. That was a huge factory and plantation of the Haitian American Sugar Company on the outskirts of Port-au-Prince. His wife was looking after the zombies and made the error of feeding them some candy that contained salted peanuts. I thought it was about to say circus peanuts, and then I can completely understand why the zombies went crazy, because circus peanuts are terrible. But it was actually salted peanuts, and as we just talked about, salt can make zombies have awareness. Apparently. I've never tested that. Upon ingesting the salt, the zombies instantly realized their terrible situation and determined to set out for their home village. When they arrived, they were recognized by their families, who tried to waylay and talk to them, but the zombies were unstoppable and pressed on until they reached the cemetery. There, they tried desperately to dig their way back into their graves with their bare hands, but as they touched the earth, they reverted back to rotting corpses. William Seabrook, The Magic Island, pages 95 to 99. And with that, I will bid you guys a farewell. We are back for this season. It's Halloween. It's October. This one's dropping October 6th tonight. Have a great week, everybody. Tune in soon. We've got a lot of good episodes planned for you. Reach out to me. I really want to hear your feedback on what you want to hear. I need your feedback on the scariest Super Nintendo games. If you even want to talk scary PlayStation games, scary video games in general, let me know what's scary on TV you're watching right now. What are you dressing up as for Halloween? And damn it, let's talk about the worst candy. Is it candy corn? Is it circus peanuts? Or do you even like them? Let me know your favorite candy and what you're doing for Halloween 2024. Again, Justin Wood with the Midnight Dreary. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks for stopping by the Midnight Dreary. We'll be open again next week to serve up more drinks and more mysteries. Until then, safe travels.